So I'm curious, what are the underlying causes of compulsive sexual behavior?
Yeah, that's a great question, Amanda. I would say unmet childhood needs of nurturance and affection, attention. By the way, I just want to say here very clearly that when we talk about underlying needs, it doesn't excuse accountability of behaviors. I really want to be clear, and because I think part of what's happened in society because of some celebrities who've had their sex lives put on the front pages, and then they go to treatment for a sex addiction. Some people, and I've had people tell me this, that they feel, oh, it's just an excuse for bad behavior, you know. And so, in any type of therapeutic setting, understanding contributing factors is really there to help create healing and then stop the harmful self-harming and harming other behaviors. It's not as an excuse for bad behavior. It's not to remove accountability. I can understand, oh, this person had this horrible childhood and that's why they lash out or they're violent. It doesn't excuse their actions. So I just really want to be clear. But some of the underlying causes for compulsive or secret sexual behaviors or sex addiction include a lack of nurturance. Like if I don't get certain nutrients as a child fed to me, my body's going to crave them as an adult. If I don't get the basic things that all children and humans need, like nurturance, affection, care, comfort, support, I'm going to seek those out as an adult because my body, myself, my soul is going to crave those things because we all need them. We all need nurturance, comfort, care, and so um, some parents, because of their struggling with their own things, may not provide it. Some parents can have the most well intentions, the best intentions, and I use this as an example often. A friend of mine, his family emigrated from West Africa to Newark. The father was a minister and a taxi driver. The mother worked all day. He had three siblings with developmental disabilities or developmental issues, special needs. And so he was the first person ever in his family to to finish high school, to go to college, like the American dream. The parents sacrificed so much for this family. But because his parents were so busy just trying to support a family and had three kids who had special needs, and when they came home, that's what gathered most of their attention. He developed a very rich emotional life internally, like imagination. Started with, I think, comic books, and then it became fantasy, and then it became sexual fantasy. And he went on to be very successful in a career sense because he had that support, and his parents were loving him the entire time. But he didn't get that attention, that nurturance, that care that we all need as children. Even though his parents aren't bad people, they are actually really beautiful, wonderful people. But he didn't get what he needed. So one thing is unmet childhood needs of that. Second thing I think is um, growing up in an environment of secrecy.
Hmm.
So if I grow up in an environment where there's family secrets that usually are not said openly, but I, as a child, was so perceptive, we pick up on family rules, family dynamics, um, and especially if those secrets are around sex, then how am I not going to learn to have secrets around sex? That's okay. If I have a parent who the family knows is having an affair, or, like I've seen, unfortunately, more often than I would have hoped, if a child becomes the secret keeper for a parent's affair,
Oh,
and that's what's modeled, how are they not going to then repeat that behavior as an adult? That's been modeled to be okay by two of the
yeah.
most important people in their life. So that's also, I think, mass, messaging for men around masculinity is a huge contributing factor. I used to teach before I did this, and I loved walk. I would teach middle school, high school, but walking around the school and seeing like little kindergarteners, first graders, walking a line as best they could with their class, and they're walking down the hall and they're like bouncing on their toes and they're like looking in awe of the world, like kids do so beautifully, right? Like, and the boys too, they would be goofy and prancing and this and that. And by third grade, they'd walk in and be like, "What's up?" Like something happens, this messaging of masculinity that's often nonverbal with but it's verbal in the sense of like, be a man, suck it up, all that messaging, that weakness is not okay. And so what do you do as a young boy if you live in that space of I can't show weakness, but I feel it so much? You can't survive in that space. So many, I think, young boys, men, have this internal schism almost, where they have to disconnect from feelings because to feel vulnerable is too painful. I mean, I played sports. I remember having to go up. It was my turn to bat in Little League. It was the end of the game. We had to win if we were eliminated. I couldn't say to the guys, I'm too scared to go. Like, I don't know what to do. It didn't even cross my mind. I felt it in my gut. I felt nauseous, but I was terrified to say, guys, I'm scared to do this. You can't do that. And so there's this fragmentation that happens inside of many boys where their feelings are shoved aside, and then they become what I would call like emotionally illiterate, not in touch with feelings. And then they get a little older, and then they meet these other people who smell really good and make them have butterflies in their stomach, or other boys or whatever. But they can't. And those people are socialized to talk and to process feelings, and so they don't know how to do that. And so, what two feelings are many boys and men allowed to show? Anger or sexual desire. And so their feelings that build up get channeled into explosions of anger, which is why boys so disproportionately in school and men as adults have anger issues, and why many partners of will see a man explode, and they're like, where did that come from? And not know it's like years and years of all this pent up like micro stuffs of things, or it comes out sexual desire. But I would say that a vast majority of men and women seeking out, either acting out feelings sexually. It's not about the actual act of the sex. It's about feeling validated or feeling wanted, feeling, going back to the first thing I said, like unmet needs. So getting a text like, oh, you're so funny, or hey, I'm thinking of you, or all these things, that's just as big of a hit, so to speak, as actually having the sex. In fact, it's even more because you can get text all day long, and that lasts a lot longer than actual sex usually lasts. So it
Okay.
becomes about, it's about feeling